Shiny Pokemon are pretty cool, right? At least some of them are anyway. The first one I ran into back in my Pokemon journey was the Red Gyarados, all the way back in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which I'm pretty sure is most people's first shiny. Despite playing every game from Gens 1 through 6, I never encountered another shiny ever again. The Teal Mask DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet added my favorite Pokemon of all time, Sandshrew and Sandslash. And since Sandslash was a pretty phenomenal shiny, I think this is a great opportunity to dip my toes into shiny hunting and snag some of these cool shinies for myself. I'm going to explore all the different methods of shiny hunting available in Pokemon Scarlet, obtain at least one shiny through each method, and try to make sense of all the wacky new mechanics they got in Pokemon these days. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there are like 5 different ways of obtaining Pokemon: wild battles, breeding, terror raids, mass outbreaks, and static encounters. However, only 3 of these encounter methods are really viable for shiny hunting. Terror raids can technically yield a shiny Pokemon, but the odds of encountering one are the standard 1 in 40-96, with no way of boosting the rate despite Scarlet and Violet featuring several boosts, which I'll cover later. I couldn't find a concrete answer online, but it seems like the terror raids will only contain shinies above a certain difficulty level. Given the limited number of raids available per day and not all of them being above 5 stars, hunting shinies in raids seems like serial killer behavior, honestly. Static encounters are also out since Game Freak thought it was a good idea to prevent static encounters like your starter or legendaries from being shiny. And they were correct, because if I had a soft reset 500 times to get a shiny Fuecoco, I would lose my mind. That leaves us with wild battles, breeding, and mass outbreaks. Wild battles are simple, you just run into a wild Pokemon, nothing special. Breeding, you just stick 2 Pokemon into a daycare, and when a mommy Pikachu and a daddy Pikachu love each other very, very much. Oh yeah, there's no daycare anymore. Well, we'll talk about how breeding works. The last and most interesting one, though, is the mass outbreaks. This is a mechanic where each day there is just a ton of a particular Pokemon spawning in a spot, and it's really easy to hunt there. There's also a way to boost the shiny chance during a mass outbreak, along with a few other ways that can stack, providing a pretty solid chance of getting a shiny. The first way of boosting the chance of finding a shiny is obtaining a shiny charm. This will affect all 3 methods of shiny hunting, so it's basically mandatory. Unfortunately, this requires completing the Paldea Pokedex, which I'm actually pretty close to doing. We'll have to put in some work before we can even begin. This isn't supposed to be a Pokedex completion video, so I'm just going to blast through explaining what I did for the last 29 Pokemon I needed for the Pokedex. Starting us off are Slackoff and Finnegan, who I obtained by just tossing a Vigoroth and Luminion in our party along with a Ditto and just sitting in a picnic for a bit. The picnic functions as a daycare in this game in terms of breeding, but you can also boost the egg spawn rate by eating a peanut butter sandwich. So I just downed one to let them get to work on Ditto. Not long later, 2 eggs, 2 hatches, 2 Pokemon Dex entries. Next up is the Axew evolutionary line. I did actually have an Axew when I was playing through the game, but I traded it to a friend of mine who has Violet just because he likes Haxorus. I just go over to Glacidio Mountains and just pick one up and just stick him in the party. While I'm doing this, I just have Reller in the lead slot and send him out periodically because he needs to get his steps in order to evolve. For Annihilape, I just throw some XP candies at a Primeape I was using for a little bit in the early game and just get him up to the proper level to learn Rage Fist and just let him get to work fighting random stuff until it evolves. Armor Rouge requires us to head to Zappa Pico and talk to some guy who wants 10 Bronzor Anuses in exchange for an item to evolve Charcadet. I already have the Bronzor Anuses or whatever it is, so this is pretty easy. Thankfully, I've already had credit for Cerulean because I foolishly tried Wonder Trading and got a hacked Cerulean, and I'm really sad that mechanic is kind of ruined these days. I have all of the evolutions except my favorite, Umbreon, so I just toss an Eevee in my party and with a Soothe Bell and let it vibe for a while. Run into Viper, snag him, find one of the Ruinous Stakes, which is 100% going to be the most annoying part of completing this. It's probably going to be the last one we do, so I just head to the ocean and grab a Bruxish. For Barboach and Whiscash, I just check the habitat for a Barboach and run around until I find it and stick it into the party to get some XP. I head to a cave near the town with the Psychic Gym and just start battling trainers for the experience, quickly evolving Axew into Fracture and Eevee into Umbreon. I swap out Umbreon for a Wingull since I need Pelipper also. And out of the cave run a Sinistea who I try to evolve and I can't because they have a really weird mechanic with like fake Sinesteas or something and 2 evolution items. I don't know, man. I had to like Google this stuff for 10 minutes and Gen 8 just seems like a mistake, honestly. So I head back to the mountains and just kind of wander around until I run into Frigibacks. At this point, I just need a lot of experience, so I do some of the post-game gym leader rematches and let my really high-level Scizor go to crazy in the Psychic Gym Leader. It's well worth it since we get both Pelipper and Whiscash afterwards. I didn't record this next part, but my best friend who is Violet just traded me Ice-Cube, Clawitzer, and Miraidon, and I'll be evolve a Slowking. He also helped me get Palafin, who has the most nonsensical evolution I've ever seen in my life. Well, second most nonsensical, I should say. Most of the off-screen stuff I did was getting the steps in for Reller. I don't have a recording, but you guys can just see how high some of my guys jumped in levels while walking Reller. After getting sick of seeing this little guy push around his actual feces for hours, I can't even just Google how the evolution actually works. Bulbapedia didn't specify that all 1,000 steps must be done without Reller returning to the ball. I don't know, maybe I'm the dumb one here. I would have never assumed that's how that works. Anyway, I just walk in a tiny little circle for a little while and just throw a rare candy at the guy, and there we have Rapska. For King Gambit, I just head back near the fighting Team Star base, where I remember seeing Bisharp gangs while grinding for my Rellor. I teach my Bisharp Thief and just let him steal her leader's crest and just kill a bunch of other Bisharps. Is it Bisharp or Bisharp? I always say it differently. I always find that weird how different people pronounce different Pokemon. Anyway, we're starting to get to the really annoying ones now. I'm a few hundred coins off for Goldengo, so I just Google a map where all the chests form Gimmickles are and just farm them. While doing that, I make a stop at the market, and the faithful shall be rewarded as there is a chipped pot available. I blow way too much money on this thing, but I need it. Oh. I already have a chipped pot. I need a cracked pot. God damn it. I get real desperate at this point and start catching random Sinistes, hoping I grab one that I can use the chip pot. But I didn't luck out on that one. It was good XP at least, allowing a Pupitar to evolve into Tyranitar, aka like the coolest Pokemon ever. Like seriously. Tyranitar is like the platonic ideal of a Pokemon. Here I just cave and Google a map where I can find a cracked pot and just run out and grab it, which gives us Poltergeist. While I'm out there on the internet, I also just give up and Google a map of all the ruined stakes so I can just run around and grab all those things. I'm not crazy about Googling stuff, but there's like zero shot I'm ever going to figure some of these out on my own if I'm honest. It takes me like 2 hours to catch all 4 of them. Mostly because I wanted them in regular Pokeballs, except I didn't have any on hand for Ting Lu, so he's in an Ultra Ball, which drives me absolutely insane. After all that, it's back to the Gimmighoul coins for Goldengo. Excalibur evolves, and then I just breed the Clawitzer my buddy gave me so I could get Clauncher. Our final Pokemon to complete the Pokedex. Jesus, that was a lot and had nothing to do with shiny hunting. Let's get back to that, shall we? Over at the Academy, Jock hands over the Shiny Charm for our efforts. Shiny Charm is hands down the most important thing when it comes to shiny hunting. It alone brings the base chance of encountering a shiny from 1 in 4096 to 1 in 1365. We can make these odds even better through a few different ways, the first one being sandwiches with sparkling power. These sandwiches require Herba Mystica, which I don't have any of at the moment because my Pokemon are bad and can't actually complete the raids that would drop them. I guess we're gonna be missing out on that one then. Shame too, because level 3 sparkling power plus the shiny charm brings the odds all the way down to 1 in 684, which is actually just insane. The next method of increasing the shiny odds is a classic one I'm very familiar with from way back in the day, the Masuda method. For this, you just breed a foreign Pokemon with a non-foreign Pokemon, and the odds with the shiny charm shoot up to 1 in 512 for a negative to be a shiny. Best Pokemon for this is obviously Ditto, since it can breed with any Pokemon. I did some Googling around and found there are just rooms online where people just spam surprise trades of Dittos of various origins. I opened the room, and after 2 trades, I have a Spanish Ditto with 5 perfect IVs. After some internal debate though, I decided I don't want to use one of these Dittos since I think it'll be a little more interesting if I have to source my own foreign Ditto for breeding purposes. Fortunately for me, that's actually really easy in Scarlet and Violet. It turns out, you can upload Pokemon from different saves from your different profiles on the same Switch to the same Pokemon home account. I just make a new profile on my Switch, create a new save for Scarlet, and select Japanese for my language. The beginning of Scarlet is mad slow obviously, so I kind of just watch a YouTube video while mashing A. Believe it or not though, you can get a Ditto really early through, shall we say, a clever use of game mechanics. Once you reach the first Poké Center, all you have to do is run up a hill to the west of the little town and find this one spot where there's a big old gap. We don't have Koraidon yet to clear this gap, but we don't actually need him. You stand near the edge of the gap and wait for one of the Pokemon on the other side to wander close enough. You just chuck one of your Pokemon at it to start a battle. I luck out and manage to run from the level 22 Staravia after it takes up my Sprigatito. After the battle, we're just teleported across the gap and are free to explore the world without going back to the Academy first. Now we just have to run all the way northwest of Porto Marinada, which is going to take a minute, but there's a road to follow, so it's very easy. This run takes me literally 15 minutes, but after arriving, it's time to search for a Ditto. I somehow catch a full health Rodon with a single Pokeball during my search, which is actually kind of clutch because it can help with the Ditto catching. I sort of just have to fight random Pokemon I hear until the name appears, and it happens to be the Ditto one. I do find one after a little while, and I let it transform into my low-level Lechonk. Since Ditto copies the Pokemon stats, this level 28 Ditto is actually mad weak, and Sprigatito can chip it down, letting me catch it very easily. This entire process of starting a new save and getting out there only took about an hour, which I think is actually pretty damn good. After grabbing the Ditto, I save, head to the Pokemon home and select my Japanese profile and throw the Ditto into home and swap back to my main profile, take out the Ditto and boom, Japanese Ditto sourced all on my own. Now we can actually start the shiny hunting in earnest. Let's start off with mass outbreaks. Like I mentioned earlier, there's these rotating set of Pokemon each day that spawn in high amounts of certain areas. Mass outbreaks have a unique mechanic where if you kill enough of the Pokemon, the shiny odds increase. With all possible boosts, the odds cap out at 1 in 512, which considering the fact that you can see as many as like 20 Pokemon on screen at once, you can cycle through the shinies very, very quickly. I can't use the sandwiches though because my Pokemon are not very good. Don't know whose fault that is. So my odds are just stuck at 1 in 819, which is still pretty good. I can't really control the Pokemon available from the mass outbreaks, but the day I recorded, one of my favorite Pokemon, Slowbro, was just available because I am a stall enjoyer because I have brain problems. Anyway, I head over to Casserole Lake and just send out my Scizor and start pulling the Slowbro population. Except he kind of doesn't work on the floaties, so I send out Dondozo from my team that I beat the game with and just let him get to work. After like 10 minutes of him just slaughtering everything in sight, we finally see the message we're looking for. There are not many Slowbro left from the original outbreak. Once you see this message, the shiny odds are maxed out and you just stop killing the Pokemon and just reset the spawns until the shiny shows up. I gotta make a loop running back and forth to just reset the spawns for about 40 minutes until I see it. Shiny Slowbro in all its purple glory. That gives us one shiny from the mass outbreak method in about 50 minutes total. It's really, really good. At this point, I do get a little crazy though, and I just decide I want Slowbro to be male because, you know, it has bro in its name. I just grind out another Slowbro in 20 minutes who's female again. I just grind out another one in another 20 minutes, and this one was male, fortunately. Pretty successful hunt, all things considered. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all these Slowbros though, I'm gonna be honest with you. Next up, we're gonna just try normal wild Pokemon encounters. You know, like just walking around and finding stuff, no outbreak shenanigans. The odds for this with the max sandwich is 1 in 683, but for us it's just 1 in 1365, which isn't fantastic compared to the outbreak method. There are ways to manipulate who you encounter via sandwiches. If you eat an encounter power sandwich, it'll increase how often Pokemon of a particular type will appear, letting you sort of target a specific Pokemon. Fortunately for the Pokemon I want to target, we don't need sandwiches. Over in Kitakami, there's a little quarry near the shrine full of my favorite Pokemon, Sandshrew. The only other Pokemon that spawn here are like Swinub, another ground type, and some Rockruffs. So I don't really feel a sandwich is necessary since it's another ground type. The plan here is just run around and reset until the shiny Sandshrew appears. Since we're on land this time, we can just hop into a picnic and cancel the picnic to reset all the spawned Pokemon. Just do a little loop around the area, checking spawns, hit a picnic, and repeat. Simple farming method. After only half an hour, shiny Sandshrew appears and oh my god, dude, it's so cute. Feed him a rare candy and there we have Sandslash. Loki is one of the best shinies in the game. The red kind of goes crazy. Alright, so that's 30 minutes for a wild Pokemon farming, which is better than the outbreaks. I want to chalk that up to being a weird, awkward surfing outbreak that we farmed and not a traditional land-based one. And my Dondozo was just not very good at killing the Slowbros. I had to go in the menus and heal them up pretty often. 2 down, let's try the final one, the Masuda method. I already knew this one was going to be the most painful one, but I sort of made things worse by not really focusing on which Pokemon I wanted. I got really worked up over which Pokeball I wanted to shiny in also. Since it needed a couple egg moves, and because I'm a gothy girl at heart, I wanted a shiny Umbreon from breeding. But the Leafeon I have in my boxes with the moves I wanted was in a Dusk Ball, which I wasn't really sure if I wanted for the Umbreon. This led me down a weird rabbit hole of trying to figure out which Pokeball I like the best and what I want my good Pokemon in. I'm not a match the ball to the Pokemon type guy. Unfortunately, mismatched balls at the Poke Center just drive me insane. I decided to pivot to getting a shiny Fungus instead. Figure a shiny Pokemon like that might be difficult to find normally because he's really, really small. After like 2 hours of catching Amoonguses in different balls, breeding a few, and getting unhappy with the ball, I narrowed down my favorite Pokeball to 3 choices: the Premier Ball, the Luxury Ball, and the Dusk Ball. The Premier Ball is a fan favorite. I do like that it's available in every game if I ever go back and find a shiny in one of the older games, but it's a really popular ball and I feel the internal need to be a contrarian at all times. The Luxury Ball is a similar deal, very popular, except they first appeared for Gen 4. I do like the Luxury Ball, but I just don't feel like I'm in the correct tax bracket to even be considered using this thing. This leads me to the Dusk Ball, which is kinda cool, but most importantly, it's got that really, really sick purple smoke when you send a Pokemon out with it. Now, shrewd viewers may have noticed I did not catch the Slowbro or Sandshrew in a Dusk Ball, and my response is, shut up, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, with that tangent taken care of, we can start breeding Eevees. There's not much to show here. I just go into a picnic with the Japanese Ditto and my Leafeon, eat a peanut butter sandwich to increase how fast they breed. By the way, what kind of sandwich am I making here? I'm putting 3 banana slices on it. Like, seriously, what are we doing? After the sandwich, I just stand there for a half an hour, grab eggs out of the basket, then just run around in circles the Pokemon with Flame Body in my party so it hatches a little bit faster. I think by far this is the least engaging method. Good choice if you want to watch a movie about breeding or just something, but this felt like actual torture to me. Not counting the fungus side story, breeding specifically Eevees took me about 5 hours to finally obtain the shiny. I sort of wish I kept track of the exact number of eggs, but I don't really want to go through all the footage and count them. I definitely think I got lucky on this though, because I remember it being way longer back in the day. Alright, with all 3 methods taken care of, let's check the results. Outbreaks, 40 minutes, just running around, 30 minutes, and breeding. 5 hours! Outbreaks and running around for shinies definitely was an enjoyable experience, felt rewarding, and I still felt like I had to actually engage with the game while looking around. Keep in mind that the shiny odds for these could have been even higher if I actually had the Herba Mystica available for the good sandwiches. As for breeding though, I don't really recommend it. It was boring, long, and just not very enjoyable. I do still think it might be the best method of the 3 for like the really small Pokemon like Fungus, or like crappy shinies where you can't even tell the difference like Charcadet, but otherwise just stick to the other 2 methods. I don't see myself becoming a hardcore shiny hunter, but I can definitely understand how streamers get into it. I can imagine a world where you just run around back and forth looking for a Pokemon, you shoot the shit with your chat, and you pop off and you see the shiny that you're looking for. Sounds like a solid time, honestly. I can, however, see myself beginning to check the outbreaks each day and just hunt a shiny if it's a cool Pokemon I like. The Masuda method though, you'll have to pay me to do that again. Give it a try yourself. Maybe you'll find like a new obsession, a new way to enjoy Pokemon like I kind of did. Bye? How do you end a video? I'll figure that out one day, it's fine.